Hello and welcome to my channel, Current Affairs with Mboni. I'm back again with another video as a patriotic South African who's just concerned about the well-being of my country. So this past weekend, the Thabo Mbeki Foundation was hosting International Women's Day, where former President Thabo Mbeki referenced an address by the Auditor General, Zakani, who actually spoke before him at the same event. And Becky said that the AG's speech incited him, especially when she said that as a country we might have many policies, but we lack the capacity and sometimes even the will to implement them. He said that very statement by the AG reminded him of the Jesse Jackson's election campaign for the US presidency in 1984, which had a very interesting slogan as well called "I am somebody." This slogan was referencing the life of an American black man, according to the former president, explaining what Reverend Jesse Jackson explained about the rationale behind the slogan. The slogan was referencing the life of an American black man or woman who got to America as a slave and nobody in that continent. Even after emancipation, declaration, Jim Crow, he was still a nobody. So what was the point to all of this that the former president was trying to make to us? What is he trying to impress upon us? The point, according to former President Mbeki, is that we have an absolute imperative to make sure that we are somebody ourselves. It's important to make sure you're somebody. He said it's entirely upon us to liberate ourselves from definitions given to us by other people. And Verwoerd comes to mind to me because back then, when he was coming up with this, what he thought perhaps was an innovative concept called apartheid, yeah, he did label us. There were certain things that he had in mind when he thought about us, and he named them and he labeled us. And sometimes it feels like we are actually living to some of these, labels that some people gave us. There were many labels we were given. But the main thing is that the former president wants us to be determined to liberate ourselves from poverty, backwardness, and ignorance. These are the things he was speaking about during his address. And he said, so that, like Jesse Jackson, we was trying, and what we was trying to do in 1984 for his Americans, his African Americans, Black Americans, we can also say or strive to be somebody. We can be able to say, I am somebody, because are we at a point where we can say we are somebody? Personally, I don't think so. But anyway, he also mentioned that it's not enough to say that you have the right policy, to just say you have the right policy. Like the Auditor General. Yeah, you have the policy. Sometimes you don't have the will or the capacity. So it's not enough to just say the policies are there and they're correct. And I totally agree with him when he says that we must have the capacity ourselves as Black people to achieve the things we're saying in those policies. Because if the policies are not implemented, then the question of I am somebody will never be realized. And there's a lot at stake for remaining a nobody in your own country, even called South Africa especially. And I'll tell you why. And he explained it, and this is the gist of why I'm even here talking about this. He said that as South Africans, we must always remember that in these policies that we are trying to implement, we must always remember that there are certain members of our own society here in South Africa who obviously do not want to see some of our policies to be implemented. And this is very important because we need to know who are those people. Who are those people that he might be referring to who don't want to see our policies come to life? Some of them, we see them by how busy they are. The people who hate our policies, some of them, we see them by how busy they are running up and down, trying to cause anarchy, lying to certain presidents of certain Western countries, lying about us. Yes, they lie. They're lying about us. And So there's a lot at stake, because not only are these ones who are running up and down also opposing our policies, but also former President Mbeki said some of them look like him. They wear the same ANC T-shirt and they're going to Lutuli House. They're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 together, believing that they are in the same boat or WhatsApp group. But no, they also are against the policies. You see them by how they behave through actions such as corruption and the like. You know, you will see these groups. They are enemies. Both these groups are both enemies of this country's progress, literally. So, but this made me think that, these people, perhaps we underestimated their hate for us. Perhaps we underestimated their anguish, and grief when we celebrated our freedom in 1994. And perhaps we also made the biggest mistake of forgiving them when they never offered an apology our way. They never did. For all the atrocities they perpetuated on us, yeah, we had the TRC, yeah, but I don't know. These same people never celebrated. They never celebrated. And former President Mbeki said they never celebrated. They were telling themselves that these ones who are celebrating now, just merely won a battle. So the war is still going on. The war is not over. The war is not over. It's still very much ongoing. And 2025 first quarter now of this year, really, it looks like it has been intensified. This year, we can clearly see that Rainbow Nation project that we were nurturing at the beginning of, our new journey, as a democratic country, 1994, right? It has not come to pass, and it doesn't look like it ever will. It does not look like. The last thing that the former president said that really, really touched me, and I think it just ties into where to now. Yes, all of this are happening, and now what? So he made a call for a national dialogue, which he said will envision a new South Africa. Because on the very same day, he considered that the country is in crisis after 30 years of democracy. Yeah, we were celebrating, and then we were walking the journey. But the former president says, the country is in crisis and he's calling for a national dialogue. He's calling for a national dialogue. And with the latest stance by those who never celebrated in 1994 with us, we can clearly see that this dialogue is sorely needed. We really need to chart a way forward with all of this in mind. And with that being said, thank you very much for staying with me. Please comment if you agree with the president's remarks that as Black people, perhaps we did undermine or underestimate these people who never celebrated with us in 1994, who were celebrating while they were crying. If you've come this far, please don't leave without liking and subscribing to my channel. This means a lot to me. It might not mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to me. And I leave you with the video of the former president stating exactly what I've been talking about, that there were some who were not celebrating in 1994. They were not happy. And we can clearly see the chickens are coming home to roost. The chickens are coming home to roost. The war is not over. The war is not over. See you on the next one. Bye for now.
She's right. We need to have the capacity to implement the right things that we say about ourselves. There are other people in this country who don't want that to happen. You know, when I come, as I gave knows, I come from the ANC. So when we won the elections in 1994, we had a big celebration at the Carlton Hotel here in Johannesburg. Big celebration, free at last, free at last. I think we didn't pay close enough attention to the fact that not everybody was celebrating us. There are some people who had been fighting us all of this in the decades who were not celebrating. Who were saying to themselves, these ones are celebrating because they think they won a war. Whereas in fact they've won a battle. We will win the war. So, part of what she's talking about, the absence of capacity, is because there are some people in our country who never celebrated 1994 with us, who said that the war, they will win the war, who've made it their effort, their task to make sure that the capacity we want to develop doesn't happen.